As much as the automotive world is focusing on smaller, more economical and more eco-friendly cars, there's still a demand for larger, more imposing machines. Luxury limousines from the likes of Mercedes-Benz and BMW certainly qualify for that description, but for the really big stuff, you have to look at the SUV segment. And if you look around you, you'll see lots of Range Rovers, Lexus 570s, Mercedes-Benz GL Class cars and the like. No wonder then that Infiniti has decided to join that club. Meet the larger-than-life Infiniti QX80. As luxury brands go, Infiniti is younger than most, certainly in the South African context, which means it needs to tackle other premium brands head-on and at least offer a viable alternative if it wants to be taken seriously. So, while the large luxury SUV segment is not the biggest in volume terms, it does enjoy a high profile, not least because vehicles in this league are hardly subtle. That's certainly the case here. What do you say about a supersized SUV that throws all aesthetic caution to the wind? The Infiniti QX80 is brash and brazen with lots of chrome, lots of detail, and an imposing presence that certainly turns heads. There's lots of bright work, from the massive expanse of the grille to the window surrounds, the exterior mirror caps and the roof rails. And like a prize fighter, the sheet metal seems to bulge and ripple with hidden muscle. The shape is angular and even boxy, endowing the QX80 with a certain pugnacious personality. Aerodynamics, it seems, weren't considered that important when the Infiniti team penned this design, but the shape and size of the big SUV does promise ample interior space. Infiniti calls the cabin of the QX80 first class, and it's easy to understand why. It has oodles of space, literally acres of leather, and 3 rows of seats, which means that you can accommodate up to 8 adults, although those rear seats are maybe not quite as comfortable as the others. It also has absolutely every conceivable mod con. Not so sure about this wood finish here, although it is fairly luxurious. And I suppose the best way to describe this car is bit more like an old Boeing 747 than a new generation 787 Dreamliner. In other words, the cabin doesn't break any new ground, but it delivers on what really matters to buyers in this segment: space and luxury. Not that it's devoid of high tech. The QX80 has an 8-inch color touchscreen display, sat-nav, 10 gigs of music storage, dual monitors to entertain rear passengers, and a raft of sophisticated safety systems, from intelligent braking assistance to forward emergency braking, intelligent cruise control, and blind spot warning. With 2.8 tons to propel, the Infiniti QX80 needs a big engine, and it certainly gets just that, a 5.6-litre V8, normally aspirated but still producing 298 kilowatt of maximum power, linked to 560 newton-meters of torque. The gearbox is a 7-speed automatic drive, obviously, to all 4 wheels, and interestingly and importantly for a vehicle in this class, it does have a low-range transfer case. That's slightly ironic, as all too many vehicles in this league tend to spend more time on the black stuff than off it. However, at least it has real 4x4 credentials, borrowed from its Nissan Patrol cousin, and on tar it covers ground effortlessly. The QX80 isn't a sports car, and people won't be buying this vehicle for its performance, but it is a pretty swift SUV despite its size and despite its weight. The 0 to 100 times 7.5 seconds, top speed, a fairly academic 210 kilometers an hour. But I suppose most importantly for most owners of this vehicle is that it's an effortless performer, and it almost underplays just how quick you're really going. It certainly gathers and maintains momentum with almost nonchalant ease, helped by a suspension system featuring double wishbones front and rear, with rear auto leveling and an hydraulic body lean control system. The all-disc braking system is ABS assisted, but it doesn't like being punished, and the pedal will go soft if you brake from speed repeatedly. Perhaps the biggest surprise is just how competent the QX80 is when heading off the beaten track. Not too many people are going to be keen on taking a 1.25 million rand vehicle in real off-road conditions, but it's good to know that it does have the right stuff. Of course, 4-wheel drive, it has a diff lock as well, low range if things get really, really tough, and of course that big V8 engine which provides plenty of low down grunt. The result is a vehicle that is virtually unstoppable. In fact, the only thing that will stop it is probably the inexperience of the driver. So, despite the QX80's bulk and weight, it felt nimble and controlled in the thick sand of the Vleesbaai 4x4 dune trail. The
The steering felt quick and precise enough, and with the tyre pressures reduced to 1 bar, the Infiniti floated across the sand with effortless ease and never really required low range at all.
The Infiniti QX80 is not going to be everybody's cup of tea. It's too big, too brazen, and in some respects too blingy for some. But it is hugely competent in 4x4 conditions. It has absolutely every bell and whistle, and with that big V8 engine, it's quite responsive in dynamic terms as well. Given the 1.25 million rand asking price, this is also not a vehicle that many people will be able to afford, but it is competitively priced, which means it's certainly going to attract the attention of buyers in the segment. If you're looking for a vehicle that'll take you from Cape Town to Cairo in neo-colonial splendor, the Infiniti QX80 could just be your carriage of choice.
A big bruiser V8, full-on 4x4 with low range and a 7-speed auto gearbox are among the mechanical highlights, while a decent power-to-weight ratio means performance is brisker than expected. It's impressive off the road too. The QX80 might not be the prettiest beast, but it's equipped to the hilt, very spacious and surprisingly comfortable. However, expect to pay for those swift dynamics at the fuel pump.